And I think it goes back to that inner child where I was shy and scared. Now, whatever, and I don't even like to say the word anxiety no more, but whatever that is makes me more myself so that I can be comfortable, even however crazy I look or something.
Before the industry tried to box her in, Nivea was already proving she was different. She wasn't chasing clout, she was chasing music. At just 14, she was writing, recording, and hustling to get noticed. She got her break when her manager compiled all her features into one unofficial album and sent it out like a demo. Labels were curious, but one took the bait: Jive Records. By the time she was 18, she had landed a multi-million-dollar deal. Then came Danger with Mystical in 2000. That song wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. Her voice stood out. Raspy, soulful, but still fresh. That single put her on the map, with people suddenly asking, who was that girl on the hook? She wasn't a feature anymore, she was the main act. And the industry knew she had something special. That's when R. Kelly stepped in. He wanted to be part of her debut album, not just as a producer, but as a guiding hand. He wrote and produced tracks for her 2001 debut, including Don't Mess With My Man, which eventually became one of her signature songs. But here's where things got weird. Nivea later shared how R. Kelly would make comments about how grown her voice sounded. He kept pointing out how mature she sounded for her age, especially on romantic tracks. At first, she thought it was just part of the studio vibe. But the more time she spent around him, the more she noticed how those boundaries started to blur. She recalled how Kelly would get too close during sessions, how he made her feel watched, not musically, but personally. It was the first red flag. Something about the way she was being observed, packaged, and guided felt off. She later admitted she didn't fully understand what was happening at the time, but she knew it didn't feel right. She was a young woman with real talent, but the people around her were more focused on her image, her body, and how marketable she was to male audiences. But behind the scenes of her Billboard climb, doors were opening, and not all of them led to studios.
I was just very much, like I think I feel all the time, shocked and blessed.
While her music career was rising, so was her visibility. That's when Lil Wayne entered the picture. He had heard her music and reached out to her label for a collaboration, but that wasn't really the reason. Wayne was asking for her number. Nivea said she was confused. Still, they clicked almost instantly. What started as flirty phone calls turned into a full-blown relationship. Wayne was charming, supportive, and made her feel seen. He didn't just see her as an artist, he wanted her as a partner. Soon they were engaged. And with that came the celebrity lifestyle. Parties, fashion, photo shoots, private jets, the whole package. Nivea was young and in love, and it felt like she had finally made it. But being with Wayne didn't just elevate her status, it gave her access. Access to industry events where cameras weren't allowed, access to parties where the real deals got made, and sometimes where the darkest things happened. And that's when she met Diddy. She didn't say much about their first few encounters, but she made it clear the vibe changed instantly once she entered that circle. These weren't just artists, they were power brokers. They weren't there for fun, they were there to watch, recruit, and control. She described being at events where the music was just background noise. What mattered was who you came with and who was watching, and she realized quickly that some of the women there weren't even in the industry, they were just around, paid to look good, party hard, and stay quiet. Wayne wasn't just a rapper, he was a portal into a world that looked glamorous until it nearly destroyed her.
I wouldn't have even known what this meant or what I was doing, and I definitely have those stories as well. So I am grateful for each and every little thing that happened because I can take that with me now and say, I know you ain't supposed to do that.
After her roller coaster with Wayne ended, Nivea thought she'd found stability with the dream. At first, it looked like the perfect match. Two artists, both successful, both with the drive to build something bigger. They moved fast. Marriage came quickly, and so did a family. But what looked like love was really something else. Nivea has opened up about how that relationship moved at a speed that didn't feel natural. The Dream had deep ties to Diddy's circle, not just musically, though that's part of it, but socially too. They ran in the same circles, attended the same elite parties, and worked on overlapping projects. One major link? Last Train to Paris, Diddy's experimental album under Dirty Money. The Dream was one of the creative forces in that project, co-writing and shaping the sound that was meant to be edgy, cinematic, and heavily influenced by nightlife culture. But that album wasn't just music. People close to the scene say it was part of a broader lifestyle brand, one Diddy curated with precision. Parties, models, strange hours, creative environments that often blurred the line between work and personal life. Nivea said the Dream's world came with conditions: control over her image, her movements, and even her career decisions. Her music slowed down, opportunities were missed, and when she tried to speak up, things got bad. The way the Dream handled their split felt too clean. Nivea hinted that he had the same legal team Diddy used. The tactics were similar: hush agreements and financial pressure. It started to feel like she wasn't just in a bad relationship, she was up against a machine. By this point, Nivea wasn't just connected to the circle, she was trapped in it. After her marriage ended, Nivea tried to get back to music, but something had changed. Labels that once called nonstop suddenly ghosted her. She couldn't get a call back, a meeting, or even a fair shot. It wasn't about talent. She still had it, but it felt like there was an invisible wall she couldn't break through. She started to believe that people were warned to stay away. And while her career stalled, so did her mental health. Nivea admitted that during this time, she turned to substances, and it wasn't accidental. She said her introduction to drugs didn't come from the streets, it came from the industry. She remembers the parties, the high-end penthouses, luxury hotels, and industry events where drugs weren't just present, they were encouraged. Everything was free. Everything was offered. But it was never just about fun, it was about control. She said that once you're in that state, unstable, emotional, and dependent, you're easier to manage. You're less likely to speak up. And if you do, no one believes you. That's how it's designed. And this is where Diddy's alleged influence reappears. Nivea didn't name him directly in many of her early interviews, but the patterns were clear. The same parties, the same players, the same whisperers, and the same outcome. People who cross powerful figures in this industry don't just lose deals, they lose everything. And Nivea felt that. She said she was isolated, financially cut off, emotionally broken.
I can't wait till they flip and do it with dudes, if they do that.
Yeah.
But nah, y'all, this was a pandemic, child. We was really locked in this house for 30 days. No in and out. The camera people were double masked. We couldn't even see them people. And then me being first TV, like I'm doing y'all, I was like, they was like, you can't look at the cameraman, bro. I was like, hey, y'all. Oh, okay.
Long before Nivea was a household name, before the music videos, the red carpets, and the record deals, she was just a kid. At 14 years old, she was already deep in the entertainment industry. But what most people didn't know is that she was being managed by a man in his late 30s. Back then, she didn't even realize what was happening, but today, she's clear. She was being groomed. She recently admitted that at 14, she was trusting adults who didn't have her best interests in mind. This manager wasn't just guiding her career, he was shaping her entire world, and that included crossing boundaries that no child should have to experience. She said she was praised for being mature for her age, that she was treated like an adult in situations where she should have been protected. That's how grooming works. It blurs the line between safety and manipulation. It rewards silence, teaches loyalty through fear, and normalizes emotional abuse. Nivea kept quiet about these early traumas for years. She didn't talk about the relationships she was pushed into or the emotional toll it took on her. She said she didn't even have the language to explain it. All she knew was that people expected her to smile, perform, and keep moving. But what's worse is that this kind of manipulation didn't stop once she turned 18, it just changed faces. Diddy's circle operated on that same foundation: power, control, and silence. Young women brought into luxurious environments promised opportunities, only to be controlled and isolated later. She said it felt familiar, too familiar. She wasn't the only one who noticed this pattern. Several women in the industry, including Cassie, Misa Hilton, and others, have described similar stories of being love-bombed, isolated, then silenced. It's not just one man, it's an ecosystem, and it feeds off vulnerability, especially when it starts young. From childhood to stardom, it was the same script, just new characters with more power.
I saw something and felt something I didn't like. Extreme dissension, extreme, we never even wanted to do this type of feeling, and it broke my heart. I can't take it no more. I'm not built for this. I don't fight like this. Child, the best thing I could have done was flee the scene. Flee the scene.
Nivea stayed quiet for years, not because she wanted to, but because she felt like she had no choice. But all of that changed when she saw the headlines about Diddy's legal troubles. When Cassie's lawsuit came out and Diddy settled it within 24 hours, something clicked for Nivea. She recognized the behavior, the control, the silence, the fast legal cleanup. She'd seen it before with The Dream. She started connecting dots. The same lawyers, the same type of contracts, the same threats, both subtle and direct, and the same type of men protecting each other behind closed doors. That's when she decided she wasn't going to be quiet anymore. She realized that if she didn't speak now, she might never get another chance. And once she opened up, she saw she wasn't alone. People started listening, fans reached out, other survivors began sharing their stories. Even people from within the industry started sending quiet support. Because the truth is, Diddy's empire isn't just falling because of one lawsuit. It's collapsing because the silence is breaking. For every Cassie, there's a Nivea. And for every Nivea, there's a system that tries to bury her story. Nivea's story isn't just about survival, it's about waking up. She could have disappeared. She could have stayed broken. But instead, she's using her voice to make sure the next generation doesn't fall into the same traps she did. Are y'all surprised by what Nivea shared? Drop your thoughts below, like this video if you support her journey, and subscribe for more stories that need to be told.